Today's sponsor is Audible.com, who has more than 180,000 audiobooks and spoken word audio products. Get a free audiobook of your choice at www.audibletrial.com/late-night-parents. Why Audible? Audible content includes more than 180,000 audio programs from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, magazine and newspaper publishers, and business information providers. That's audibletrials.com/late-night-parents.
And I guess we're back. Someone said we're back. I guess I'm happy to be back. Is it really season 2? Whatever happened to back to school? I guess I kind of just disappeared after the Reach With Us episode, but that's not true. I've always been there, blogging, appearing, talking with folks on Twitter. This is Ted Hicks, Late Night Parents, Season 2. Happy to be back here on the airwaves. It's, I guess we're going to have an extra special Season 2. New guest, new surprises, new giveaways on the website, new sponsors, new advertisers, all the above. The number to call in for the folks that are listening to the live show is 347-857-1947. If you're listening to the podcast, we want to thank you through our various radio partners. As always, Life Improvement Radio, You and I Are One Radio, XRP Radio, NGSC Sports, that plays us on the iHeart Radio network on the app. We have friends near and dear, I-95 Sports. Bobby Blackjack, what's up? Deladonna, we see you out there. What's going on? Happy to be back with you. It just seems like yesterday. So I'll just start it off as saying, I don't know how many Yankee fans are out there that are so upset, that are so awestruck about what happened last night. We're not talking about that tonight. Where do I begin? Well, I'll start off by saying last month has been eventful. Partnered up with a lot of different people. Came close to sealing a deal with iHeartMedia. I guess I had cold feet. So as per right now, we won't be live on the iHeart Radio network, but we'll be available through their podcast network. Thanks to our friends at Spreaker. Thanks to our friends at iTunes. Got to give a shout out to our friends at Fiji Water. Thank you for the partnership, as always. Swag Flask. Hello out there in the UK. We want to say hello and hope all is well out there with you. We will be talking about your products tonight. Before we even get into our featured guest for tonight, I want to talk briefly about our good friends at Student Tutor, helping our youth, training and tutoring our youth, using the online method to train them. The Allergy and Asthma Network, want to give you guys a shout out. Our friends at Life is Good, want to say hello to you. And the book that's talking about helping and raising kids, about blended families, There's so many people that we have to reach out to. It's been a long, very, very long 45 days that we've been away, but we haven't forgotten you. We haven't forgotten you at all. So before I start to ramble, it's like 5 minutes past the hour. We have two guests tonight, two distinctly different guests tonight. We're going to talk to Daniel Marcoux, who's going to join us at 10 minutes past the hour, one of the founders of Average Bro Clothing. It's a clothing line, because I guess during the sports season and MLB season, everyone's talking about the 7 line. Everyone's talking about, the 7 line runs Citi Field and they're connected with the Mets. But what about the other companies that are out there? It's time for them to make a little bit of noise. At 30 minutes past the hour, we're going to have Barbara and Michael Foster. I guess co-authors. Really, Barbara is the author of Confessions of a Librarian. They are going to discuss their open relationship / marriage. This is something that we were toying with the idea of bringing them on last season, but due to scheduling and due to me taking an extended break, it just didn't happen. So we wanted to bring it back for season 2. So those are our two guests for the evening. Want to give, it's not really a shout out. I want to make sure my brother-in-law, Keith Davis, is doing well. He had an accident in Virginia, in Prince George, Virginia, on his motorcycle. Went down there to go see him. He's in rehab right now. Very strong young man with the Bureau of Prisons and his Harley Davidson Bikers Club. Definitely a big shout out to him. I'll be back down in Prince George, Virginia in the next 10 days to see you, Keith. So you got to keep your head up. My other brother-in-law, Gary Gray, want to give him a shout out. All of our friends, the Happy Hour Network, want to give them a shout out and say thank you for what you guys do for me and for the show. Dada Rocks want to give them a shout out. Our friends at audible.com. Thank you for the partnership. And I think we're going to leave it right there for right now, because there's a lot of people we have to thank for season 2. Doing a deal with Gillette. We'll be talking about that. Doing a deal with Rockport, a little partnership with Rockport. Happy to talk about that tonight or through our blog. Our blog is latenightparents.com. Number to dial in, 347-857-1947. You can catch me on Twitter at Real Ted Hicks or Late Night Parent. Catch us on Facebook, facebook.com/Late Night Parents. We're going to get into it. I guess, you know what? Without further ado, I've been rambling for the past 8 minutes. We didn't get a new theme song. We didn't get anything else new. But one thing we do have new is we have a whole new slew of guests that will be coming through. And I guess our first guest for the season, we're going to bring him on, Daniel Marcoux. Daniel, how you doing?
Hey, Ted, what's going on, bro?
What's going on, man? What's going on? Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for joining the podcast and also on Blog Talk Radio. Something caught my eye last year when it was around about July 31st, and Jerry Seinfeld tweeted something out and said, "Suspended for the rest of us." And I noticed you had a shirt already detailed and put out and made for sale with the logo and everything on there. So I think a couple of months I reached out to you about getting onto the show and talking about it. Let us know who you are. Let us know the company you represent. Tell us about yourself.
Well, yeah, that's for the rest of the shirt. That's our biggest seller right now. We probably pushed about 70 of those bad boys already. But we're just Average Bro Clothing. We're a New York sports-based clothing line, all non-licensed, similar to, like you said in your beginning rant, like the 7 line is before they got licensed. Similar to We Bleed Blue for the Rangers. But our kind of thing is we don't back ourselves into a corner. We don't specialize with one team like these other companies, which is great because even on social media, when we're selling shirts, all that, we connect with all the different kind of fan bases, which has just been great so far.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And I'm going to tell you, Dan, I got to get into it and ask you the question that what made you start this? What made you jumpstart and say, hey, I want to create this company? And, you know, I don't know where you and your founders are at, but, I mean, is this your day-to-day? Is this your 9-to-5? Or is this something you're doing on the side?
No, this is still something we're doing on the side. The company was founded with me who I work a 9-to-5 corporate job, my brother who's a cop, and our designer who also does web design in the city for a 9-to-5 job as well. So this is all just something we're doing for fun, and the idea just kind of came back to me actually, and back in December, I approached my buddy Andrew, who's the head of our design, and I was like, hey man, I got a couple cool ideas for some shirts, and he's like, I've been dying to do something like this. So I reached out to him, and then I reached out to one of my other buddies that I went to college with, who has a screen printing company who prints shirts anyway, and we kind of just put all our talent together and created this company. It's created this little idea that just turned into a profitable thing.
That's excellent. Because I remember, this is years ago, I'm going to date myself, where one of my buddies in maybe the early 90s was doing silk screening, and, you know, he had, I guess his own machine in his house where he was generating T-shirts and everything else like that. Are you doing it out of your homes, or do you have like a central location where you guys are, creating the T-shirts and everything else like that?
My buddy's creating it out in Cincinnati, and he's doing all the shipping for us, and he stores all our inventory. So he has his warehouse out there, and we just send him we come up with ideas, and our designer comes up with it. We send him the files. He prints X amount of shirts, and then he stores everything. And then when we get orders, the orders come through, and then he sends them out. So it's nothing. I mean, I live in Hoboken. I don't know if you know anything about Hoboken, New Jersey, but I couldn't even. It's basically like Manhattan. Like my apartment is pretty small. I couldn't store any inventory here. I don't have a basement or anything like that. So everything's ran out of Cincinnati.
Okay, cool. I know about Hoboken. I work downtown. I'm about 8 blocks away from the World Trade Center, and I live not too far from the Nassau Coliseum. I don't even know what they're going to name it once they tear it down, but I'm over in that location. I got a couple of questions for you, Dan. We're speaking with Daniel Marcoux of one of the founders of Average Bro Clothing. But so one of my questions is, can I print any design on a T-shirt legally? Like, I see there's a lot of great logos and designs out there. How, if I was to come to you and say, hey, Dan, I need you to print this logo on 100 T-shirts, and I need it back by the end of the week, like, what is the thought process with your team?
Obviously, we're a New York-based company. I mean, you could dance around trademarks. You could dance around things like that. Like we have a shirt that we call Young Guns, and it's the projected starting pitching rotation next year for the Mets, which has been a great seller for us. It mimics that old school Wu-Tang shirt.
Yes.
And
yes.
You know, the RZA gives an ODB like that one.
Yep.
But it says
I'm on it.
Harvey and Syndergaard. So like technically, like anybody with half a brain knows that. All right, he's talking about the Mets starting rotation. But if the Mets ever came at us, you can't trademark last name, so we could if the Mets ever came at us, we'd be like, no, that has nothing to do with you guys. That's all my friends. We just printed it on a shirt. So there are ways of dancing around it. And to be honest, we would never get sued by any. They would just give us a cease and desist, which is, not the worst thing in the world. We would just have to take it off the site. So, basically, we just have to kind of, like I keep saying, dance around the legalness of printing the actual logos and the names and the copyrighted thing.
Okay, so I'm going to have this question for you. What if I wanted to capture like a pop culture theme in my T-shirt or design without violating someone else's copyrights? Does it kind of go back to the same answer that you had, where you can be creative, but you got to just be careful?
Well, think about that Scarface scene when he's sitting in the hot tub. Think about how many times people have redone that with posters and shirts, images, and things like that. You can get away with a lot more than you would think. What I've learned, which I've talked to, I've talked to lawyers and stuff, and I've talked to people in the industry. After that, and in the beginning I was a little afraid. I didn't want to start the company and have to take it down 2 weeks into it. But it's kind of been a unanimous thing where everyone's saying, you just gotta change it subtly. Okay.
So you mentioned earlier that the Cespedes for the rest of us is your top seller. What else are you designing? Take us through the things that you and your team are putting through. Are you doing strictly T-shirts? Are you doing sweatshirts? I mean, is it?
We are gonna start doing sweatshirts actually in a couple weeks from now. We plan on getting all the sweatshirts out in November. We also want to do a Toy for Tots kind of fundraiser around Christmas time.
Okay.
Where we raise money for a children's hospital around here. But with our actual line, we have snapbacks, we have regular fitted hats, we have T-shirts, we have tank tops right now, and which includes the Mets, the Yankees, the Jets, the Giants, the Islanders, the Rangers. We have a Philadelphia, disc shirt where we make fun of Philadelphia and Boston. So we're kind of all over the place. And like I said, our kind of mantra in the beginning, what we wanted, we didn't want to corner ourselves back into one team like the 7 Line and We Blue, who do great, but we wanted to expand to all of them.
Understood. But Dan, tell me this much: have you and your team have you guys reached out to any specific teams to say, hey, we're ready to partner up, or you just kind of just left it out there to say, okay, we're not going to pigeonhole ourselves?
We haven't really reached out to teams. We have reached out to a couple of people. Alan Hahn, who does the Knicks pregame, and he has his own Hahn Humpty show on ESPN New York. We've sent him a bunch of shirts, and he rocks them all the time on his Instagram and his Twitter. He loves us. We've sent our stuff to Boomer and Carton before. They haven't worn it, but they've retweeted us. Mo Wilkerson for the Jets. We just sent him a care package not too long ago because we made a Mo Wilkerson shirt. So I mean, that's how a lot of these companies get big, is when the actual athlete wears their gear and puts it out there.
Correct. Oh my goodness. So, if you could tell me, I mean, we're speaking with Daniel Marcoux of Average Bro clothing line. So tell me, what is your plan? Give us your plan for 6 to 12 months down the line.
I would love to, by January 1st, split the website to have a New York line and a Philadelphia line, and then we could hit the Eagles, the Sixers, the Flyers, and the Phillies, and then 6 to 10 months after that, get a Boston line going, then a Pittsburgh line. So we just have these niche shirts that aren't licensed, but they're kind of cool and funny, but have them for all the big major sports cities, which would be awesome. Have guys out in Chicago repping our stuff. Have guys out in LA repping our stuff. So just kind of expanding outside of New York and just hitting other teams and hitting colleges and hitting, just keep expanding.
So when I come to you, and this is the shameless plug for me, when I come to you to create our late night parent T-shirts, we definitely want the hometown discount, okay?
Absolutely, you got it.
Oh my goodness, Daniel,
you're a Long Island guy.
I'm a Long Island guy. Come on now.
Well, what are you Mets Jets?
Mets Jets.
Are you? What do you think? What do you think of the series against the Dodgers? What are you thinking right now?
Come on. We're gonna take it the best of 5. We're gonna take it totally. It's gonna go 5 games.
If we split in LA, because I'm big Mets Jets too. If we go to LA and we split, which I think it's going to be game 2, because I like Syndergaard against Kershaw. I don't know why. Syndergaard against Greinke. I like that matchup a little better. If we can split that, we're going to come home and we will win it. If we can split out there, we will win the series, no doubt in my mind. I will put $1,000 on them winning the series.
Definitely.
It's going out there and starting 0-2 is going to scare me. But
you can't have that.
It's been a very long time since I've had this feeling about the Mets, watching them in the playoffs, getting excited about what they're about to do. It's been awesome.
I'm with you, Dan. I'm with you fully. Not to switch gears a little bit, I want to throw this one out at you. What's your thoughts on Matt Harvey, on the whole 180, and then with yesterday's fiasco? What's your thoughts?
It's rough because things like this happen, and when they happen for the Milwaukee Brewers, maybe 2 guys from the local newspaper will write about it. But because he plays in New York, and because he has a history of being, kind of a jerk and doing things like this, and because he's the biggest name and it gets blown up so much more. And I know he missed the workout, and I'm kind of tired of defending the guy and being like, all right, well, this happened. He needs to just grow up. He's immature. I feel like he's an immature pro athlete right now, and he needs to grow up. And if he wants to be Derek Jeter, like he has come out in the past and said, I want to be like Derek Jeter, I want to run the city, he needs to not do things like that. He needs to be more Jeter. He needs to be quieter. He wants to date the models. He wants to be in movies. He wants to do that. He can't be doing dumb things like this. He can't be telling the manager, all right, I'm done pitching after 180 innings. He looks awful.
Yeah.
I'm so scared. I'm so scared he's gonna be a Yankee in 2019 and win 6 straight World Series with them and just shove it right in our face.
You and everyone else.
Yeah, because he's come out. He's come out and said, I'm a Yankee fan. I grew up a Yankee fan. So
of course.
Who knows?
Hey, the last Mets related question I will have for you before we wrap up: is he or is he not worth 150? Because they're giving out this money like it's candy. The Scherzer, the Kershaw. Is he worth that type of money? That $200 million pitcher with and this is a guy with only 30 career wins.
He is and he isn't, because I'm a firm believer in not paying pitchers that much to begin with. It's a guy who affects the game 1 every 5 days, so you have to take that into account. He has that stuff, but this year he looked like a superhero the last 2 years, but he's looked very, I don't want to say average, but he's come down to earth this year, big time. And there's a couple of games that really stick out. There's a game like the Saturday Memorial Day weekend where he let up 9 runs to the Pirates in the first inning. Stuff like that, big time aces don't let that happen. Guys guys like Scherzer don't let that happen. Greinke doesn't let that happen. Kershaw doesn't let that happen. So I don't know if it's just the 1 year after the Tommy John stuff. To answer your original question, no, I do not think he's worth $100,000. I'd rather go get a big bat for that kind of money if the Mets, which is a huge if with the Mets, are ever going to be back into that we're going to spend big money field. Whenever they realize once again, we play in New York, we can spend money.
Right.
To answer your question, no, I don't think Harvey's worth that money.
Okay. My very last bonus question: do the Mets offer Yoenis Cespedes the deal that he's going to want to stay with them for a 6-year mega max, $150 million deal? Yes or no?
Mm-hmm. Are they going to offer it? If they do, Flores better learn how to play second base because Murphy's gone, and because he's about to get paid. And it's probably going to be the last big contract we see in like 5 years. So he has to be worth it. Because after the Jason Bay debacle and all these bad contracts, and they're gonna hesitate to give that big contract. And if he do, I hope to God that he's worth it. I hope he becomes that 270 batter with 35 home runs, 95 to 105 RBIs a year. That bat that we've been missing for so long since Beltran and Zagato.
Daniel, we're going to give you a one-time round of applause because you were great tonight. Daniel, tell us the best ways to get in contact with you about Average Bro Co., your company, via social media.
You can hit us up on Twitter at Average Bro Co. C-O, Average Bro Co. Instagram is just Average Bro Clothing. The website is averagebroclothing.com. Check it out. We have probably 30 to 35 pieces of apparel on there right now. Besides that, or facebook.com/Average Bro Clothing.
Gotcha. Daniel, this is the first time. This won't be the last time you join us. We're definitely going to want to partner up with you. Thank you so much for taking out a few minutes of your time tonight to join us.
Absolutely. And let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets. Take care, brother.
Later, buddy.
And that was Daniel Marcoux from Average Bro Co. joining us, talking about Mets, talking about his clothing company, Average Bro Co. And really, it's good to support these New York-based companies that are out here. We're going to take a brief break. We're going to come back with our second guest, Barbara and Michael Foster.
Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook of your choice and a free 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/late-night-parents and choose from over 180,000 audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/late-night-parents. That's audibletrial.com/late-night-parents and get started today. Why Audible? Audible content includes more than 180,000 audio programs from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, magazine and newspaper publishers, and business information providers. That's audibletrials.com/late-night-parents.
And we are back. We want to thank our good friends at Audible, audible.com, that has gone into partnership with us. Really quickly want to talk about Fiji Water, another partnership that we're working with. I guess by full disclosure, yes, I do receive their products, and we do talk about it on the Late Night Parent blog, and we do tweet out about it. But there's a lot of great things happening with that company. I mean, it's great water. It's great water. I don't know what else to say. Real quickly, before our next guests, Barbara and Michael Foster join us, want to talk, and I wonder if that's Barbara and Michael Foster right there calling up. But real quickly, we want to talk about, we completed our assignment with Schick on our sister site, .rocks.com. I published 5 or 6 articles about the Schick Hydro Blade. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome tool. At the same time, with that assignment ending, just picked up a pretty small endorsement with Gillette. We're going to be working with them. For those of you that know me, know not only do I shave my face, but I also shave my bald head. So we really give the razors a run for their money all the time. Want to say thank you to our friends at the WWE. Over the past several months, we've Late Night Parents has attended several events in the New York area this past week, watching what was it? Not Hell in the Cell, the Go to Hell tour with Brock Lesnar and a few others. Great live show. WWE does it absolutely the best. So we wanted to give them a quick holler. And I guess I'm going to start talking about our second guest for the evening. At 5 minutes past the hour, we had Daniel Marcoux on from Average Bro Co., the T-shirt and apparel clothing line that joined us. It's New York-based. And I guess tonight it's all about New Yorkers. You had Daniel... technically he's in Hoboken right now, but he works in downtown, not too far from me, where I work near the World Trade Center and live out here on Long Island. Next up, we're going to have the question, could the rules of marriage be ripe for a change? Open relationships are popular among some, and new research suggests why. So we're waiting for Barbara and Michael Foster to join us. Once they join us, we'll be, I think I had them on the line. I'm not sure if they dropped or not. So we'll give them a few minutes. But basically, we're going to talk about Confessions of a Librarian. And I think we have our guests, Barbara and Michael Foster, on right now, so we're going to welcome them on. Hello, is this Barbara and Michael Foster?
Yes, it certainly is.
Hello, and how are you doing?
Well, it's been a mixed day. We just got back from Vermont, where we were all summer, to New York, where we live the rest of the year, and in our lovely little Chelsea apartment, where absolutely everything was broken. The building's front door, our apartment's front door, my internet, my TV, you name it, it was broken. So maybe we should talk about a broken marriage. I don't know.
So, Michael.
And we're still talking to each other.
Right.
The nice thing is we're still talking to each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Despite that.
Okay. Well, I want to say it's a pleasure to have both of you on. We're talking with Barbara and Michael Foster.
Right.
And Barbara, I guess you're credited with being the author of Confessions of a Librarian?
Oh, that's right. I was a librarian at Hunter College for a number of years, and I was hidden away in the stacks and given kind of boring work. And so I started writing erotic poetry, and I decided to live the life and walk the talk, and so I started to travel around the world and gather information for Confessions of a Librarian, and I confess.
Okay. I want to take a step back and say and talk about the broken apartment, because we have a couple of minutes, and say, was it broken physically, like the door pushed in, or was it just
no, not any kind, not any kind of violence, just stuff that didn't work, but all at once.
Okay.
You know, you have to think about your karma, talking like that.
Oh my goodness. Well, yes, it's like I said, it's a pleasure to have both of you on. I believe I was speaking with Tony and Jenny back in August, maybe July/August, before you guys went away on, vacationing for the summer, wanting to get you guys on to talk with you and just spend a few moments with you.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, we don't really take vacations. We go to Vermont to write, which is typical, and New York in the summer is very noisy, to put it mildly. And we get away, and we do a lot of work.
Michael's working on a huge book that's after a book that came out 20 years ago called Three in Love, the history of Ménage à Trois. And he's writing a big book now that is much bigger and many more kinds of relationships and new marriage and new love relationships that have happened in the last 20 years.
Yeah, well, it's not just me. There's three of us collaborating, really. I get the sort of final draft, but
he puts it together and makes it
When
great.
I was back in student of history, working on a PhD, I was always annoyed by history seemed to be what the king so-and-so did or which army ran over which poor country, and it never interested me. I wanted to know more personal things. And wasn't there a history of love, a history of romance, even a history of adultery? So with Three in Love, we took the famous love triangle, without which, for a long time anyway, you couldn't make a Hollywood movie without one. And we dealt with that, and we dealt with not its opposite, but what it sometimes led to, which was a ménage à trois, a more friendly three-way relationship. And the book was quite a sensation when it came out in the 90s. Oddly enough, at the same time that the Clinton hijinks were being, in the press, and also, what's her name, Princess Diana was running around. So we couldn't quite meet that competition, I must say.
So Barbara and Michael, so let's get into open relationships. What are they? I guess textbooks-wise, we're looking at non-monogamy, but give us your description, your definition of your open relationship.
Barbara, you want to do that?
I was thinking about this before we called, and I think that there's a long history in America of divisiveness, of warring factions. I mean, in the 19th century, there was the Civil War and the War of Secession, depending on where you lived. And then the divide was a racial divide, and even though that still exists, now there's a sexual divide. And if you look at some of the people who were running for presidency, you'll see that some of them from the Old South are participating in this sexual divide, which is defining marriage, defining love, defining sexuality in terms of their beliefs. And I think America is very divided now, not so much, well, in a number of ways, racially, but also economically and sexually. So as far as who are we in this landscape of American argumentation and debate, we have had a marriage that's very special, and we made our marriage very special by being friends and staying friends and having freedom, and at the same time working together and cooperating, and to the point of even inviting in a third person. So I think we're a very unusual marriage.
Yeah, well, I'll put in a couple 2 cents. That is very interesting. It strikes me as a good subject for another book, The Sexual Divide.
No.
It really does.
These long books that take years and years,
yeah.
they are really incredible when they're finished, but they take a lot of work.
Well, the thing is, Barbara and I got married very young, and I mean very young, 20, 21, and and a very traditional marriage and all that. And for several years, well, we were very excited. We were newlyweds and so forth. But after a while, we got curious what was life like. And we satisfied this curiosity in a number of ways, not just seeing other people. It was much more than that. And Barbara's book is her side of it. And it talks about all of the adventurous travel she did. And I must say, if you tried that today, if you tried to go to Egypt and cross the Sinai with the Bedouins to see Mount Sinai where Moses got the Ten Commandments, you'd wind up in heaven or hell. You wouldn't get through it. And a great deal of what she did and is reported in the book, you simply can't repeat.
Yeah, India, Argentina, places that were really fabulous and were very formative for me. And now very few women can travel alone.
Very few anybody, really. And I did other forms of travel. I learned Haitian Creole and I went to Haiti to study voodoo. And
really?
Yeah, when Papa Doc was in charge, it was great. When you have a dictator like that, they monopolize crime. You're never in danger because they're the criminals. And I'm serious. And I would walk around at any hour and go to all the voodoo ceremonies.
Well, he stayed with Papa Doc's dentist.
Yeah.
You can't get much
that was another thing. Nobody messed with Papa Doc's dentist.
No.
So, but I did stuff like that, and she did stuff. And we basically would come back and we'd tell each other things about what had happened. What we never did, and I do want to bring this up, is cheat. That is lie about, any of this. And I was so struck by the whole Ashley Madison business, that the hacking revealed, and because the cheating of the people who wanted to cheat got cheated by Ashley Madison, because often there was nobody on the other end, and that's what the hell can you expect, And it's a bad business, lying, and there's a great deal of it, I'm sure.
Well, I just want to jump in here and say, it's been noted, and I even have you on record, Michael. We're speaking with Barbara and Michael Foster, but have you on record saying studies that find that 5% of Americans in consensual non-monogamous relationships are lowballing reality. Half of all marriages end in divorce, and websites such as Ashley Madison that encourage cheating have millions of followers.
Yeah, they did. I don't know about what happened after the hacking. And I don't know who did it, but that was quite. It just revealed the situation was, and there's other sites as well, of course, other cheating sites. But the heck with the sites. People have been cheating and doing adulterous things ever since the Bible, as the Bible tells us. And it's a bad business. That is a bad business. If you're going to stick to the rules, the old rules, and have a monogamous marriage, well, good for you. But if you have some curiosity, and if your thing in life is to write books, and by the way, Barbara and I continue to write books together. We've done a couple of biographies of really courageous women that have been translated into many languages.
The Secret Lives of Alexandra David Neal.
Yeah,
woman Buddhist who went to Lhasa for the first time in 1924 when it was just Forbidden Journey. Yeah. It's another book of ours.
But the one that really is personal is Barbara's Confessions of a Librarian. Now, I don't know if I'll do something similar. I have no idea.
Our third person has written novels, and they are there is some ménage à trois material in the novels. So it's affected all three of us very profoundly to share the New York art scene experience, or the art wars, I call it, where you really grind up your heart and your gut, and you create something, and you put it out there, and you hope it's accepted, and then the internet copies it. So a lot of it is happening that way.
Yeah, another thing I would bring up, the question of whether the rules are changing. Everything is changing. Everything's changing dramatically. Gay marriage is something I wouldn't have dreamed would get this kind of legalization. I knew very well it existed. We live in Chelsea and in Greenwich Village as well, and the gay neighborhoods, but I never thought it would get the legal recognition.
It's going to be a big battlefield for the presidential debate, and it's interesting, and it's tremendously worthwhile, of course. But who would have thought that so important a question so intimate and so personal a question could enter into a presidential race.
Yeah, that's really something.
I mean, really, this is people's private lives, you know.
True. Hey, guys, we're speaking with Barbara and Michael Foster. I have a question here from one of our listeners. What's the difference between an open relationship and being swingers?
Big
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've never been swingers, so I really can't speak from experience. But from what I know, what I've heard and read and talked to people, swinging seems to be more of a suburban thing, and it's groups of people and who live in perhaps a neighborhood. And I know of we had some contact with the one in Ohio, and they were outside of Cincinnati in the suburb, and they all sort of knew each other, and they got together and they traded partners that night, and it's a very social thing that we've never had anything to do with, so I can't speak from experience.
Maybe you can think of open marriage as a big umbrella, and underneath that umbrella, it can be open in a number of ways.
Yeah.
It can be open by, for example, the extended family. The person who, I think what it can replace is an American tradition, which is throw out the old husband or throw out the old wife and get a new one. So if you have
like
an open,
a car, you get rid of
if you have an open marriage, you can just keep on adding people. And that's one way of doing it. And another way is people who don't marry at all, like three homosexual people who get together and are lifelong friends, or lifelong collaborators, or people who work together and who, over a period of their lives, have an intimate, important relationship with each other, whether they're married or not.
Yeah, and there's open marriage is just a very broad term. It can be on a consensual basis. It can work in a very kind of happy way, or it can be very tight and angry. And I just did a long chapter for the book I'm working on the Kennedys, Jack and Jackie, and God, that he was with another woman constantly, other women, a whole huge list of them, and she tolerated it, but it's not like she accepted it. But she sort of did.
She protected the presidency.
Yeah. But I mean, she was often very angry. So you have that possibility, certainly. Again, a lot of what we did was the need and search for adventure in general, and this is all in Barbara's Confessions of a Librarian. She had this very useful job, of course, but a kind of dull. And she would unfortunately get these long, lengthy sabbaticals, and she would travel to here and there and do reports on libraries. But she would also really, really travel, and that's something I admire because I'm not that adventurous personally.
So he's had a long-term relationship for many, many years with the same person, but I have a different style. I like to date. And I still do internet dating. I have a Facebook page, Confessions of a Librarian, a memoir of loves. That's the title of the book and the subtitle. And so you can find me there. Confessions of a Librarian, a memoir of loves, Barbara Foster at Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this really quick. I'm looking at various studies that appeared. I'm looking at one that appeared in the Journal of Human Sexuality. It states 70%. It talks about the following information on reactions to open relationships from couples involved in this activity. 70% claimed having no problems with jealousy. 25% acknowledge problems controlling jealousy. 59% claim to be happier than their non-swinging counterparts.
Well, that shows how misleading statistics can be.
Yeah.
I think jealousy is an issue that comes up with everybody.
Sure.
Every couple and every threesome and every foursome. And, I mean, there's always this why do you give this person more time than, or more energy, or more love, or more something or other than me? And people get into very ownership kind of feelings with a love relationship, and it's something that you have to deal with no matter what, whether it's an ex-spouse or whether it's a current lover or whatever, or a child or whatever.
I know we're short on time. I have a couple other questions that a few of our listeners. One person asked me to ask you, what happens if you start having feelings for one of the secondaries?
What do you mean, start having feelings? What do you mean?
Yeah, getting attached to, sure.
Well, that happens. That's life. Some people have lifelong attachment.
You don't have to have an open marriage to have that happen.
No.
I mean, that happens all the time, and people quarrel and divorce and marry someone else. I mean, it's very rare that you're going to have love for one person your whole life long, especially if you live a while. And so it is something that you have to deal with in life. It's one of the major questions, I think. And
I think just posing that question is it shows that the person doesn't really understand that this involvement, whatever it is important. It's not like this is a one-night stand or something that you have with another person. This can be a friendship or a love relationship that opens up a new world for you. And then you have to do a balancing act. You have to make sure that the person you're married to is happy and is comfortable with the relationship that you have started with someone else, and that you are honest with yourself and with the other person too. Sometimes this can lead to a divorce, but hopefully it doesn't. It leads to a more larger and a richer life.
We're speaking with Barbara and Michael Foster. I'm going to read another quote. The Fosters agree the openness and consideration of others' needs are the keys to their successful marriage. They live, love, and work together as authors and educators. And lastly, it states from Barbara, an open marriage is about more than affairs. And so tell me this much. Is this openness, this open relationship, this open marriage, is gaining popularity amongst, I would say nowadays than 20, 30 years ago, or is it about the same? It wasn't as talked about as much?
Oh, well,
what's your take?
Yeah, we have been studying such things, and more historically, but up through now as well. And certainly everything's changing. And one of the things that's, along with gay marriage, open marriage is definitely more, well, I can't say popular, that's the wrong word, but there's more of it. And I don't think people are quite ready to talk about that. And look, they weren't ready to talk about gay marriage until a few years ago. I think they'll start to talk about open marriage, and there will be some disagreement about it, just what it is. But it's not like the swingers at all. That was, as I said, that strikes me as a very suburban kind of thing, and whether it still goes on, I don't really know. But dealing with your marriage, and one way people deal with marriage now is they don't marry. They live together, they marry late, right. And so on. But I believe in marriage. I really do. It's worked out fine for me, and it's more than just some kind of commitment to a ceremony. It's having someone you really work for and with. And as far as I'm concerned, marriage is a lot easier than writing a book jointly. That's a tough one, let me tell you. You want to lead to our quarrels, try writing a book with someone.
Can we real briefly talk about the potential risks and rewards in having an open relationship?
Sure.
Yeah, go, Michael.
I think it does take a degree of sophistication, if you want. It takes a degree of good nature and of acceptance. And if you're a very uptight person, if you're a person who does play by strict rules that aren't your rules but have been taught to you in one way or another, it's not going to work. It's not going to work for you. You've got to have some leeway and some really kind feeling in general, and a very specific commitment to the other person. Actually, maybe more of a commitment than a traditional marriage.
Mm-hmm. Well,
good answer. Hey, if we could just wrap it up, because I know we're short on time. Best ways, Barbara, to find your book.
Oh yeah, Amazon.com is a good way. Just you can search for Confessions of a Librarian, a memoir of loves.
It's digital as well as in print.
It's digital, yeah, and that's the best way. And find me on Facebook too if you want.
Okay.
And to join the conversation.
Gotcha. And Michael, best ways to get in contact with you?
He's at Facebook too. Mickey Stamler. That's a pseudonym of his, a pen name. Mickey Mickey.
Yeah. Well, it's my mother's maiden name, and
and you'll see pictures of all three of us at his page, Mickey Stamler, and actually a couple of pictures of on my page at Facebook too has the three of us. So. You'll be hearing about the three of us later when this book, this long book that we've been working on. He says this is a 10-year book. This book he's working on.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, well, it covers a lot of ground.
He does things in a big way. That's part of why I like him. He's very serious. He's a very serious, committed artist, and I have tremendous respect for it. And he was the one who really has taught both of us, the other woman and myself, about what it means to be an author, and a serious author, not just every 6 months a new book kind of author, but someone who really delves into a subject seriously and gives the respect to the reader that the reader deserves.
Yeah, if you're interested, our Three in Love is still available.
And there's another website too called 3lovestory.com. 3lovestory.com, and that's about the three of us and our books. I mean, the other woman has a lot of books too. So, and we were the ones that really forced her to write books.
Barbara, Michael, I want to thank you guys for taking the time out tonight.
Thanks,
we want to
Ted.
give you a round of applause.
That's a great idea.
I think I'll have the last word and say, Michael, we want to see a rebuttal to Confessions of a Librarian, because you have to tell your side.
Oh boy.
But I definitely want to have you guys back in the near future, probably in early 2016, and just continue this ongoing discussion. So I want to thank you guys so much.
Sure.
Thank
you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that was Barbara and Michael Foster discussing their open relationship and Barbara's book, Confession of a Librarian. Earlier tonight, we had Daniel Marcoux from Average Bro Co. join us. Season 2 is here. Episode 1 is done. Happy to be back with our team, with you, with our listeners, all from near and far. Want to say thank you guys, and we're going to close out. You know we're closing out with Back in Black. See you guys next Wednesday. Thanks again. Love you.